All right, what's up, guys? So today we are moving on to 2.5 reflections. So this is just another transformation. So we learned translations in the last one, and we're learning about reflections in this one. Okay, so a reflection is just like you looking in the mirror. You're going to see the complete opposite of what is actually viewing there. So we're basically going to take a shape, take a point, something, and we're going to be reflecting it over a line, basically. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually end up showing you how to do it physically, and then I'm going to show you how to do it algebraically, so you guys can just do it simple in that form. Okay, so let's go and get started. So again, a reflection is obviously a flip. So you're seeing the flipped image of what's going on there. So the best way to teach this is to just go ahead and go on to the first example. So let's go and look at example number one. So on example number one, it says, reflect the rectangle A, B, C, and D over the x-axis. Then it wants us to list those coordinates, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to do this on the graph, and then I'm gonna show you how to do it mathematically with each individual point, okay? So right now it says over the x-axis. So we know right now that this line right here going straight across here is going to be my x-axis. So literally what I'm going to do is I'm going to take every single point and I'm going to go over the x-axis with it, okay? So right now, going on point A right here, it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 points away from the x-axis. So that means I'm going to take that, I'm just going to flip it over that line, and I'm going to go to that line, I'm going to count 4 spaces down. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, would be the coordinate for A prime. Okay, so now let's look at point B over here. So again, I'm going to count up from the line I want to reflect over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm going to count 4 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, would be B prime. So you can see that basically we took this and we flopped it over right here and flipped it over to the other point. Okay. So now for the other 2 points, I'm going to show you guys how to do this mathematically. And I'm actually going to put this down in your notes here on the bottom here in a little bit, okay? So right here, looking at point B and point A, okay? So the rule is when you're reflecting over the x-axis right here, the rule is x comma y is going to turn into, over the x-axis, is going to be x comma negative y. So this is going to be the reflection rule for going over the x-axis. So let's go ahead and look at point D here. So point D here, I'm going to make this into a bigger font. So point D here is sitting at, it looks like positive 2, positive 1. So positive 2, positive 1. So by rule, my x-axis is going to stay the same. So I'm going to keep my x coordinate. But when it says negative y, that means I'm going to do the opposite of what is shown there. So if I have positive 1 here, this is now going to be negative 1. So that means D prime is going to be 2, negative 1. So I'm going to go over 2 and down 1. So that is going to be the location of D prime. And now let's just look. D is 1 space away from the x-axis. I'm going to go 1 space down, and that's where I'm going to put it. So it worked out mathematically. Okay? So now let's work C. So point C is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. I'm going to do the same exact rule. I'm going to keep the x coordinate. The x coordinate's 8. I'm going to change the y coordinate to its negative. So C prime is sitting at 8, negative 1. So I'm going to count over. I'm going to go down 1. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is C prime. So now you can look. I have now taken this shape and I have flipped it over the x-axis. Super simple. Okay? So now we're going to look at example number 2. Okay? So on example number 2, it says we're going to reflect this quadrilateral or this rectangle EFGH, and I'm going to reflect that over the x equals 1 axis. So this one's a little bit more tricky. We can still use it graphically or by moving it on the graph, but it's a little bit easier to do this one mathematically. So I'm going to show you both though, okay? So the equation x equals 1 is going to be, an x equals 1 is going to be a vertical line actually. So right now, x equals 1, all the x coordinates are going to equal 1. So looking right here, this line right here is going to be the equation x equals 1 going straight down. So I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. I'm going to count over to my original point, and then I'm going to basically graph it over that line. It's going to be flipped over that, okay? So here we go. So looking at point E first. So point E is one space away from x equals 1. So that means I'm going to go across that line and I'm going to go one space over. So ladies and gentlemen, right here would be E prime, okay? From this line, point F is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from x equals 1. So I'm going to go on the other side of x equals 1 and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be F prime, okay? Down here, H is one space away from x equals 1. So I'm going to go one space on the other side of x equals 1. This is H prime. Again, I'm going to go to x equals 1. I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to G. So I'm going to go on the other side of x equals 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to be G prime. So ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the reflection over the x equals 1 axis right there, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm actually going to clean this up a little bit so we can see it. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. We got H prime. Delete, 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 delete. Perfect. So we have just now reflected that over the x equals 1 axis. Okay. All right, now on the last one down here, on example number 3, it says we're going to reflect triangle XYZ over the line y equals S, and then it wants us to list the coordinates. Did we want me to list the coordinates earlier? Yeah, I did. Oh well, we're just going to do that on number 3. So reflect the triangle XYZ over the line y equals X and list the coordinates. So the equation y equals X is going to be this line. So basically the slope is 1, 1. So if I actually go from 0, 0 here, going over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1. Over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, okay? So this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the line right here that you are going to reflect over. So I'm going to do my best. This is a squiggly line. Great. Y equals X, okay? And so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to count over and down basically from the line, and it's going to help me to reflect that over the y equals X. So we're going to do this in 2 ways. I'm going to show you how to do it on the graph, then I'm going to show you how to do it mathematically, okay? So right now if we look, X here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from that X, okay? We can't just necessarily flip straight across, because if I take this thing and flip it straight up over here, we can see the X is actually going to end up here. So I'm actually going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So this is where X prime is going to end up, okay? So if I flip that, you can see it's actually going to end up right there, okay? So now on Z here, so I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So that means now I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4 for Z prime, okay? You can see it's going to flip over and stick right there. So now for Y here, I'm going to look and I'm going to see all the way over here is the direct line going straight to this line over here, okay? I could do it either way. I could count straight down and then go straight over, either one. So here we go. So from this line, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that means I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is where Y prime is going to end up, okay? And so now you can see, here goes that point right there, right there, right there, and right there. Let me clean this up a little bit so we can see this. Boom, 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 boom. And there goes your reflection over that line, okay? So now what I'm going to show you is actually the coordinates and what's going to happen when it changes. So my original X coordinate is going to be 5, positive 1. So X was actually 5, positive 1. And then it turned into X prime, which is going to be 1, positive 5. Okay? What do you notice? All it did was flip, right? Let's see if that rule changes still or is the same. So Y is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, comma, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, okay? And then Y prime turned into, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, so -4, and then I went up 6, +6. So you can see all I'm doing is I'm flipping those two coordinates. So to go over the y equals x axis, all I have to do is x comma y, and then is equal to, and it's actually gonna end up just flipping. That's all you're gonna do with those. So literally, if you wanted to count it out, you could, or you could just send it through the translation rule, and it's gonna help you out here, okay? But by rule, over here, you're gonna get your reflection rules. So if you're given over the x-axis, you can use the rule. If you're given over the y-axis, you can use the rule. Same thing with y equals x and y equals negative x. And here are the rules for you. So going over the x-axis, it's gonna be x comma y, and that's gonna go into x comma -y. So remember, x stays the same, y changes to its opposite. Over the y-axis, it's gonna be x comma y, and that changes into -x comma y. So y stays the same, but the x changes. Y equals x, all you have to do is flip the coordinates. We just went over that. And then y equals -x, you're gonna flip the coordinates and you're gonna change them to their opposite. So ladies and gentlemen, there are all your reflection rules for the base sets here, and then you can reflect everything over a given line, okay? Good luck with your skill check, and we'll see you soon.